This is a game. I have two games from my students, which I'm going to go through. We'll see what we come up with. Okay, he's playing white. We have a closed Sicilian. Doesn't look anything unnatural at all. Looks to be normal stuff. White is hasn't committed yet to castling. Neither is black. Black can only castle king side, or leave his king in the center. I doubt if white is going to castle into black's attack. See, but just things to think about. There is potential pressure to bring the black pieces to bear down on the queen side. Now he does this to defend his pawn on b2. Well, knight's a little out of play for now, but it won't stay that way. Okay, now white castles. Now, a common response is to chase that knight out. But we have to make sure we don't drop something down here. Let's see, pawn up, knight takes, queen takes. Okay, the knight's still guarding c3. Black could play pawn takes, and on pawn takes, penetrate with the queen to the 7th rank. Now that tempos the rook, which is unprotected. And if white trades queens, black has planted a rook on the 7th rank, and white hasn't really done anything. So probably c3 is the wrong choice for white at this time. Okay, so here he wants to keep the pieces on the board. And then probably play for f4 and maybe f5 at some point. Now this is rather odd. Odd choice by black. See, black hasn't completed his development. Essentially he's developed 3 pieces here, although we could argue the rook on b8 is developed. But this creates a weakening of the black king side. And black's pieces, I was talking, they're more gravitated towards the queen side, and black can try to attack white. So, one of the common rules is need a wing attack with center expansion. This isn't really center expansion, but it does, try to help get the black pawn structure upset sometimes. So, I would say f4 right here. Okay, so, earlier that line I was giving, that black queen would have been hanging on b, could never go to b2. Okay, so now there is no knight takes, and there is no queen b2. So the knight goes back. But these, in a way, these knights are misplaced. I mean, they're not doing much on the 1st rank, and they don't really have a lot of scope or ideals. So, knight here, where's it going next? White can't even play knight b2. They may not want to because of the penetration. So white is right now saying this work I'm not going to use. Let's look at my idea. Let's refrain from doing anything on the queen side. Let's just play this. Now, I always ask a question. What is black going to do? And the answer is we don't know. We simply don't. All we can do is be prepared, hopefully prepared to meet anything that black plays. So, now I was talking about pushing this pawn here. Black does have 3 chessmen that control that square, so white may drop a pawn in doing so, but again, he may drop this bishop back and reposition this knight into e3 to support f5. We may have some problems down here later, but let's say black develops. Well, let's just sacrifice a pawn and see what happens. Okay, now, this pawn is now isolated. This king doesn't really seem to have a safe place to go, and for what it's worth, the e-file is now open. Now, white could put the bishop here and just meet the discovered check with knight e3. Okay, and white has sacrificed a pawn for this. His knight is pinned, but black needs some development. Let's shut down the e-file. Let's do our best to shut down the e. No, wait a minute. We have a problem here. This is hanging. No, it's not hanging. It's pinned. Okay, so we'll break the pin. Okay, now the knight's loose. So we don't really necessarily want to trade it because we gain a tempo on the queen. So let's put him back on d4. Now, white's got a little bit going here. Let's see. We got one knight out of the way of the rooks. I'm looking at maybe taking this and hopping a knight into d5. Yeah, let's try that. Okay, so the idea here is we're threatening to double up some pawns. Now, black has resources, but now suddenly this f-file is opening up. And none of this is forced. This is just just an idea. And if we need to, maybe we can successfully grab this pawn. So I'm just trying to give white some ideas here. Okay. So maybe he's planning to answer this with this. Yep. Boy, do I know this guy or what? Okay, now that creates a serious weakness on g6. So let's get a knight to f4. How do we get there? I would get there in 2 moves. Okay. Now I'm going to entomb his bishop here. This weakens the dark squares a lot, but I don't know if black can take advantage of it. And don't quite understand that. That gives black this square back. So here I move 20, and black hasn't even castled yet. Strange position. This is a nice square for a knight. It would attack the pawn on d6, which is unprotected. Chase the queen. Decides to get rid of that juicy knight. Now, can white get back to this square with a knight? He'd have to get in there by way of b4. He can get to e4, but he has to move the queen to bring the knight to d2. So the game looks pretty even. This bishop is not good. 23 moves in, black still hasn't castled, but white's pieces, except for his pawns, are not beyond the second rank, and the same with black's. So we have to call this about even. Okay, so now he wants to send his knights that way. I want to get a knight in here. That's such a nice square. Okay, now if that's going anywhere, it makes black keep an eye on this. And okay, maybe we should work with this position. Maybe we should abandon getting a knight to e4 and try to generate something on the b file. Okay, well, now maybe the c file will open up too. Okay, there goes that pawn.
Check.
Position's good. And grab the bishop. So white bagged the pawn. And I was talking about the b file and the c file opening up, and now just like that, they're closed. But the a file's open. The b file and the c file are open for black, but black can't castle now. Queen has to watch out against a fork here. Make sure I'm still broadcasting. Yep. Okay. Got a pawn majority. Got him going. Oh, there went his pawn back. So let's back that up a second. What about just putting the knight back here? I was talking about that square for a long time. That move seems to make some sense. But I don't know how you're going to get this bishop in play. It's going to have to get into play on this diagonal. And black doesn't have a counter for that bishop. He doesn't have a light square bishop of his own, only the knight. So I don't know, maybe black should try to, get the pawn up here and plant the knight there. Then, white could try to attack a5, but, a little bit of work, maybe this bishop could work its way around to defend it. Clear the king out, and then the rook can swing over all the way. Okay, so b4. You drop the pawn back. And now the queen is loose. Off it comes. So here he's willing to give up this pawn to get this pawn. I think white can hold this pawn back easily enough. So he saves it. And he protects. Now the knight's ready to hop in here. Maybe even in here. And now he decides to play defense so it doesn't come in and pester the pawns from behind. So game looks pretty even. White does have a passed pawn on the board. But that light squared bishop is finally getting into the game. Now, fortunately for white, c2 and c1 are covered, but black may generate something with rook c3 here. And that's what he does. So, get it rolling. Likewise.
Check.
Now, black might stand better if he swings his rook over here. That's what he does.
Check.
Now, you can't trade rooks. Let's back this up. Okay, now, let's just take this pawn and then come over here. I don't know. It's still got some activity.
Check.
But the white king's a little more active now. So now the king can come up and pester some pawns over here. And the game seems to be headed for equality now. You're saying I'll trade this one for this one. So they're running out of pawns.
Check.
And this pawn is getting ready to run up the board.
Check. Check.
So white's got his rook behind the pawn. And now white should... Well, white's okay here. He can allow the check, which gets a queen.
Check.
Because after queen... Oh yeah, that's what they agreed to a draw. You know, rook takes. Rook takes. You know, the white king is too active. It'll support the queening square next turn, and black will give up his rook for white's new queen. Interesting game.